Well, the Passover is really one of the central events of the Old Testament. I call it the redemptive event of the Old Testament for the Hebrew people. And I think even as we get started on the topic of Passover, there's this word deliverance. God's going to deliver. And even that in itself is important. God is the one who delivers. This is the work of God. Redemption is God's work. And so Passover is about this work of God in delivering his people from sin, typologically, but specifically in terms of what's happening in this context. It's the oppression of the Egyptians and what's happening to the Hebrew people as they deal with that issue of slavery and what appears to be God's abandonment of them in some sense. As we think about and work through this deliverance, this Passover, the topic, the theme of deliverance is going to get picked up along the way, and especially it's going to be found in the New Testament as a way to, in a sense, bring to completion or to perhaps formalize what God has done in this Passover deliverance. John the Baptizer is going to see Jesus and say, aha, there he is. There's the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. And all of a sudden, that Lamb of God takes us back to Passover. There was a lamb. There was a Passover lamb that was a substitute that somehow provided this means for God to deliver his people. And so there's a key point of connection as we think about Old and New Testament. Paul will take it even further as we get into one of his letters, that letter of 1 Corinthians, where he says, people here in Corinth, church in Corinth, Christ, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed. And so Paul, too, will connect typologically to the Passover, this whole idea of taking an Old Testament event, institution, or person, and finding a way to see it fulfilled in the New Covenant and in Jesus the Messiah. And so Passover is just central, really, to what's happening as we think about what God is doing by way of delivering his people across the Testaments.